I think people forget just how long it's like Skyrim, but was used for. Game changer. Starfield has gone gold. It is now currently preloaded on my Xbox. The next game from Bethesda Game Studios proper since Fallout 4 in 2015 has me so excited that I dropped $100 on it just to play it a few days early. For some context, the last and only other time I have done this was for Marvel's Avengers. Some may question this choice, call it foolish, because you see, Starfield no longer exists in a bubble. It's not just Todd Howard's next game after Fallout 4. Starfield has to save Xbox, follow up Redfall, and face console warring on Twitter. The days, much to my dismay, are gone where you can just chuckle and move on from seeing a giant smack your character and have them ragdoll 10,000 feet into the air. Today, Twitter sees that and views it as a warhead to drop on a discourse that is hundreds of threads deep weeks before the game is even out. All that in mind, I still cannot wait to play this game for hours, weeks, months, and years to come. Now, the smart thing, especially after Fallout 76, even though it technically wasn't Bethesda Game Studios, that was a different team, regardless, is to expect a broken, buggy, messy launch. But when it comes to core Bethesda Game Studios RPGs, I don't think I can be smart. So today we're talking about why I am stupidly, foolishly stoked out of my mind for Starfield. I could not tell you how Skyrim ends, or Fallout 4 for that matter. But what I can tell you is that I have hundreds of hours across both of those games combined, and that there is a special type of excitement that manifests in the ramp up to Bethesda Game Studios RPGs that is just incredibly difficult to rival. I know 2023 has been hit or miss when it comes to games launching successfully. I also know Bethesda games typically feel like they come in hot and launch with their own set of issues. But truthfully, nothing in this medium hits me the way their RPGs do. But also, RPGs have come a long way and changed significantly since Skyrim and even Fallout 4 in 2015. Back in 2015, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt came out and got me seriously back in to gaming, and is undoubtedly the catalyst that has led me to speaking to you today. And Fallout 4 came out just a couple months after The Witcher 3. And come GOTY season, the conversation of Bethesda RPGs being antiquated permeated nearly every single GOTY podcast and awards ceremony that I tuned into. And I'm not gonna disagree. In fact, I think The Witcher 3 is a much better game than Fallout 4, if we're being real. But one thing Fallout 4 had over The Witcher 3 was earnest stupidity. Witcher has its own sense of humor, absolutely. It even had a fun bug we all laughed at with roach physics. But only one of these games allowed me to enlist in a faction that I hated, strictly to get better armor, and then blow them all up with their own weaponry, and dump a bunch of my junk I picked up in Boston on their leader's corpse while big band music was playing. And I could have done that in a tuxedo if I wanted to. This is all to say, with how massive video games have gotten in the last decade and the sheer number of 10 out of 10s that are releasing constantly, I'm no longer expecting Bethesda to be the only studio breaking ground in this genre. It happened once before with The Witcher 3. It happened again with games like Disco Elysium. And it's happening as we speak with Baldur's Gate 3. If Baldur's Gate 3 ends up being a significantly better game than Starfield. I would not blink twice at that fact. Similar to 2015, this year a big Bethesda RPG is releasing following what is by all accounts a landmark release in the genre. So if I was on the side of the big 2015 RPG being better than the 2015 Bethesda RPG, why do I even consider that 2023 could be different? In all honesty, and I know it's boring, but it does just come down to personal preference. I just love Bethesda worlds, quests, and the freedoms these games provide me, and the method in which these freedoms manifest. The interactivity and object permanence of nearly everything in a Bethesda environment is already impressive, but working that in to play in favor or against narrative decisions that I make in my playthrough just adds to the feeling of influence I have on these worlds, and also can end up being hilarious sometimes. With Starfield taking up the reins following Skyrim and Fallout 4, but crafting a new universe with a host of RPG systems and customization while also embracing a sci-fi aesthetic that has been absent on this scale in favor of what I'll call Marvel space, that just speaks to me so much more than the Dungeons and Dragons game that I still absolutely want to try. It seems really cool, don't get mad at me. Then there's the Xbox of it all. And I understand what this game means to Xbox as a brand and the diehard fans. And I understand how the pressure has reached the point that it's been at for quite a while, but I do think it is also at a point where it is nearly impossible for this game to be what the internet has decided it needs to be. But for me, I think it's going to be exactly what I need this to be. A galaxy-sized playground for me to experiment in, explore, create my own stories, and once again, never see the main quest through to the end. And that's not to discredit the main scenario in these games. I think that speaks to how dense and rewarding it is to find your own path through them for hundreds of hours. Because ever since I played Skyrim as a 14-year-old when it first came out, that experience has been one that has always meant a lot to me. Same goes for when I played Fallout 4, and it's an experience I feel has rarely been catered to. So really, all I'm saying is Starfield needs to be like Skyrim, but in space. Outside of raising the expectations for it, there's also a benefit to being an Xbox first-party game now, and I think that'll show in the performance of everything. Todd Howard's been saying he's been playing on the Xbox Series S at 1440-30, which is how I will also be playing it. And when the team and Xbox say this will be the Bethesda game launching with the fewest bugs, I believe them. Mainly because I also believed those rumors from a while back that the pre-purchase date they were targeting for Starfield was fall of 2021. Regardless, we won't have to wait long to learn if Starfield really is a groundbreaking game of the generation, another fun Bethesda game, or a relic of the past. I'll be diving in with early access, and at the very least, I am hoping to hit the ground running with an opening few hours that are unlike anything in 2023, and frankly, anything since Fallout 4. That's all for Low Play this week. I'll see you next time. In these last few weeks before Starfield arrives and kicks off what is going to be an incredibly busy fall season in gaming, I figured now would be a good time to touch base and give you my top 2 unfinished and finished games of the year. So we'll start with the first one, the unfinished game. My top unfinished game of the year so far is The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Now, that's not to say anything bad about the game for me not having finished it yet. I took a calendar year to beat Breath of the Wild, and that became an all-timer. And already Tears of the Kingdom is usurping Breath of the Wild's position in my mind as a great Zelda game. I haven't finished it yet because I did put it down for Final Fantasy XVI, which is somehow still going. But whenever I get back to Zelda, I'm sure I'm going to keep loving it. And for my top beaten game of 2023 so far, we have a lot of great options like Resident Evil 4 or Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but the winner of my favorite beaten game of this year so far is still Hi-Fi Rush. Removed from the excitement of the Shadow Drop, I think it is just invigorating. Everything about the game, from its character design and art, music, and level design, speaks to me. It's worthy of my highest praise, all killer, no filler. On top of all that style, its combat is also excellent. Not only is it excellent, but pairing it with the soundtrack and linking those two things together is still wildly impressive to me. And as much as I love slaying a Kashik with my same two Garuda and Phoenix combos, outside of the big bosses of 16, Hi-Fi Rush's character action combat runs circles around that game. So moral of the story, if you're new to Xbox, if you're grabbing a Game Pass subscription to play Starfield in just a few weeks, if you have Steam Bucks or whatever they're called, play Hi-Fi Rush, because it is still a GOTY contender.